Welcome back to this course on polymer chemistry, and in this lecture, lecture 16th, we will discuss lecture on leaving radical polymerization, and we will talk about three different type of leaving radical polymerization: ATRP, SFRP and RAFT. We will talk about the full forms in the appropriate time, and I plan to just give you examples of commercial polymers which are made use of this radical polymerization technique, and then we will conclude this module of radical polymerization, radical chain polymerization at the end by giving you a brief summary of what we have learned in radical chain polymerization. Just recap the last lecture, we discussed in detail different polymerization processes, and we spent a lot of time on emulsion polymerization, and we just introduced the concept of leaving polymerization. And let us begin from the same page we left in the last lecture. Now, as we were discussing that in a normal chain polymerization process, as soon as the initiation reaction is slower, as we know initiation reaction is slower. So, the chain initiation takes place during time, almost during entire polymerization time, and the propagation step is faster. So, as soon as the radical generates, it undergo propagation reaction, and at the end bimolecular termination reaction happen and the polymers become dead. With time, you generate different molecular weight polymers, and of course, those polymers are not live or they are dead. So, you have a much larger or broader molecular weight polymers. Now, if we can and by any means start almost all the chains at more or less same time, that means initiation must be faster, and then let the polymers, all these chains which just started, let them undergo polymerization reaction or propagation reaction for same duration. Then what happened? Now, if that has to happen, this propagation has to be much slower compared to initiation first of all, and if that happen or if that has to happen, then all these polymers should be live, that means they are reactive to the monomer. So, they can undergo polymerization reaction. So, if they remain live, you can add a second monomer and form block copolymer at the end of the polymerization. Now, how can you achieve this? All these points we just talked about. Now, in a normal radical reaction, what happen? You get a radical which immediately reacts with a monomer to start the chain, and you have this all this reaction forming RMN dot, and propagation continued RMN plus 1 dot and so on, and this initiation process is slower. So, as soon as this radical generates, they undergo polymerization reaction, and these two reaction Mn dot plus Mn dot, they undergo bimolecular reaction forming either Mn M plus 1 depending upon which type of termination reaction they are undergoing. So, at the end you get a dead polymer. Now, if by any means, if you can read what is the rate of termination reaction? Rate of termination reaction we know Kt m dot square, whereas m dot is the concentration of total radical, total propagating radical. So, this is summation of all the concentration of all the propagating radical present. Now, if you can reduce this m dot, then what happen? RT comes down much lower. If you by any means, if you can reduce this m dot, then RT comes down. So, if you can bring down such a level that RT is insignificant, then there practically no termination reaction would happen in this case. So, that will ensure that the polymers which are forming, they are not killed, or the chains which is getting initiated, they are not killed. Now, that is one thing. Now, how do you achieve? If m dot is very low, then what is Rp? Rp also we know, this Kp m dot. Now, if this is very slow, then the rate of polymerization also will be lower compared to a normal radical polymerization. So, that ensures, if you can bring down the concentration of this, that ensures that the termination reaction is much low, or it is basically insignificant. Now, how do you achieve the condition where you let all the polymers, all the chains react for the same duration? Now, that is achieved by reversible termination or reversible transfer reaction. Say I have a initiator molecule which is Rz. Now, typically all the time in normal reaction we write a single arrow, which means irreversible reaction. Now, in this case we are writing double arrow, which means this is a reversible reaction. Now, if the structure of Z is such that it is inactive radical, then this would not take part in propagating step. So, only this will take part in propagation step. Now, if this will again react with the monomers and form different chain length. Now, because this is a radical, it will be again part of the equilibrium process with Z. So, this is a case we are talking about reversible termination. So, if this happened, in normal case, if this bimolecular reaction happen, you get a termination step, dead polymer. But in this case, because this is reversible, it can again come back and give you back this active radical and inactive radical. Now, if the structure of this is such that this equilibrium is shifted mostly towards right hand side, then what happened? This radical stays or spend most of its time in a dormant form. This is a dormant form. This does not take part in the polymerization reaction, where for a small fraction of their lifetime they present in this active form. So, what happened? In this way you are reducing the concentration of the radical, active radical present, and that will ensure that your termination reaction are negligible. Because this is a reversible termination reaction, this radical is not if it does not undergo any termination reaction, it can react with a monomer and again go back to the dormant form, because it is the equilibration process or reversible process. So, that all the radicals, all the propagating radicals which generate from the initiation reaction, they will spend more or less same amount of time in as a active form and as a dormant form, which will ensure that all the polymer chains are progressing or reacting during or for a same amount of time or same duration. So, one more time, if you have a initiator which reversibly form this R dot and Z dot, where R dot is a active radical and Z is a inactive radical because of its structure, then what happen? Only these undergo polymerization or propagation reaction. Now, at the very beginning the concentration of R dot is quite high. So, they will the beginning they will undergo some termination reaction till the concentration of Z dot is much higher. At very beginning this and these forms, this might undergo bimolecular termination reaction. So, you get drop in R dot concentration and you get more and more Z dot at beginning. Now, once the concentration of Z dot is sufficiently higher compared to R dot, and also you have chosen this equilibrium such a way that equilibrium constant is towards this side, then what happened? This equilibrium is shifted mainly towards this side. So, the average time a radical, a propagating radical spent in this form, which is active form, which can react with a monomer and propagate, is much lower compared to the time a average radical spent in dormant form or inactive form. By this way you are ensuring this, after the initial period of time the concentration of the radicals are small, which will ensure that the termination reaction is negligible, and also because this is an equilibrium process, every radical is coming out and going in the dormant form. This is all this time, all this propagating radical is spending same amount of time in this form. So, they are undergoing the propagating radical for same duration, which ensures that the chain length of the polymer produced is almost similar size. So, PDI would be very narrow, say 1.02 to 1.1 or 1.2, something like this. So, they are very close, and at the end of the reaction again they will remain in this form. So, you can add a second monomer to form a block copolymer. There are three types of leaving radical polymerization. First one is ATRP, atom transfer radical polymerization. In this case your initiator is a halide and you have a redox reaction where you have a Q-pras halide. It can undergo a reversible atom transfer reduction process where you get R dot plus CuBr2L. L is a organic ligand which basically complex with this copper salts, so that the copper salts remain soluble in the organic solvent. So, this now again can react with M, form R M N dot, it can be M1, M2 and so on. So, it happens, this happens to all the radicals, and this again go the same reaction, form R M N Br plus Cu L. So, at any moment of time the concentration of these is very small, which means the termination reaction is very less, and because this is a part of equilibrium. So, one more radical is coming out, capturing a monomer, increasing the chain length, going into the equilibrium. Second radical is coming out, reacting with a monomer and going into the reaction. So, average time this spends in terms of active form is same for all the propagating radicals. So, the chain length for all the propagating radicals are same. Now, if I write a equilibrium constant for this reaction, this is M dot. So, let us write this for this reaction, M n dot, we are writing M dot and copper 2 plus, and initiator, this side is initiator, which is this, initiator is this, and Cu plus, which is this. I am writing, if you confuse, I am writing this equilibrium reaction for so this reaction, this the k of this reaction would be given by this. So, the concentration of this propagating radical is given by Ki Cu2 plus Ki plus Ki Cu plus by Cu2 plus. I is RBR, concentration of IBR is the concentration of RBR. So, what is RP? Rate of polymerization will be given by Kp m, and concentration of the radical, which is given by Kpm Ki Cu plus by Cu2 plus. So, that is the rate equation, and the molecular weight would be given by the total number of monomers is reacted. So, M0 is the initial concentration of your monomer by MT is the monomer present at time t divided by total initiator concentration, which is given by the conversion M0 by I0. Each initiator form one radical, and one radical produces one chain. So, if you have 100 monomers polymerized with 2 chains, then total degrees of polymerization would be 100 by 2 is 50. Okay. Now, if you plot with time, say this is experimental plot, you get, say for bulk you get, and say if your solution you get a slower rate, because this is straight line, which means that this is a first order reaction. Example of RBR is 1 phenyl ethyl bromide, and Al is 4,4 di 5 nonine 2,2 dash by pyridine. So, if you have this, all these three plus styrene in bulk or solution, you get experimentally this. So, what happens to the molecular weight? If you plot molecular weight versus time, what will you get? Again, it is a straight line. As the time goes, more reaction forward. So, more propagation happen. So, the reaction the molecular weight increases linearly, where in case of normal chain polymerization, you can get very high molecular weight even at the beginning of the polymerization and such, but in this case the molecular weight is small at the beginning and it increases slowly after as the time goes. You can take a monomer and do a reaction like this and makes a polymer and then can add a second monomer. You can form a block copolymer like this. You can take A and a dihalide, then you can make tri-block copolymer as well. Okay. And for a simple case, the PDI for this sort of reaction given by this. So, higher the molecular weight, lower is the PDI. Now, second type of leaving radical polymerization is stable free radical polymerization. In this case, the same thing, you can generate that Z dot which is very stable like nitroxide, triazolenyl, trityl type radical. For example, I have initiator like this. When it forms two radicals, now this radical commonly known as TEMPO, this is very stable because of these two large group, they cannot take part in bimolecular termination reaction among themselves. So, that is why this radical is very stable and that can be stored for days in a container which can be used later on. So, same thing happened in this case, because you have a stable radical, this can react with same form RMN dot, which again undergo reversible reaction and form the same logic which we discussed for ATRP and do the leaving chain polymerization. And this, when this stable free radical polymerization is done through nitroxide, it is often called NMP, nitroxide mediated polymerization. So, the logic, all the arguments remain similar as in the case of ATRP, and again this is a case of reversible termination like ATRP. Now, the third case, which is raft reversible addition fragmentation transfer. The name suggests that it take advantage of reversible transfer reaction. Now, in this case what happened, you have the same way you have a chain come to that. You have a chain transfer agent here, which is having general structure of something. I will give you the most common structure. It could be something else as well, but for time being I will just give you the most common example. So, it is a dithioester. Now, if you have a radical which can undergo reversible addition to this S and form R S this is, let us put it carbon. Okay, let us do it one more time, getting little confused. So, I have a chain transfer agent which has generic structure like which is dithioester, and I have a radical produced by normal thermal initiation of some other reactions like thermal initiation of EIBN or benzoyl peroxide. Then it can undergo reversible addition and form to differentiate, make it R star, this radical. Now, if this bond you have chosen such a way, in this case a thio bond, that this can again reversibly fragment by a homolytic cleavage, then this is formed. Now, this radical can react with monomer forming Mn dot. So, this initial reaction as well. Now, this can undergo similar reversible addition and fragmentation reaction. So, in general we can write that this is general. So, you have a reversible addition, reversible fragmentation, and this is a transfer reaction, because original radical is getting transferred and getting terminated and forming a new radical, which is a transfer reaction we know. For example, of this Raft transfer agent is, we can give a simple example of transfer reaction. So, in case of Raft reaction, what is the molecular weight? Again, like earlier, it is the conversion multiplied by the initial mole of the monomer and the conversion of the Raft reagent plus the conversion of the initiator. So, this gives you the number of chains formed. In case of ATRP or other reactions, we discussed that this is by the total initiator molecule. Remember the expression for the ATRP, we had P m 0 by I 0. Basically, each I 0 was forming one radical and that radical was participating in the propagating chain. So, this gives the number of monomers reacted divided by the number of chains formed, which gives you the degrees of polymerization. Now, in this case this is a transfer reaction. So, you have to include the number of radicals from the initiator molecules, which is given by, if it is thermal polymerization is 2 phi, this is a your the efficiency factor and the conversion of this, and because each Raft agent form one radical. So, you have to include the concentration of the Raft reagent as well, initiator concentration. So, total, like the case of transfer reaction, chain transfer reaction, we have included this. In this case also we have to include both this. Now, because typically we use the I 0 concentration much lower than the Raft concentration, we can use M 0 . This is the conversion of the Raft reagent. Now, if we do reaction such a way that all the Raft reagents are or did take part in the polymerization reaction, we choose the Raft reagent such a way that every Raft reagent is participating in the transfer reaction. The chain transfer coefficient for the Raft reagent we use is very high. So, that all that Raft reagent can actually participate in the chain transfer reaction. So, P dash becomes close to 1. So, finally, the becomes the Raft agent's concentration. So, in this case the molecular weight depends upon the, because it is a chain transfer reagent and the chain transfer constant is much higher compared much higher. So, that all the Raft reagents is taking part in the chain transfer reagent, and also because the concentration of initial Raft reagent is much higher than the original initiator radical, we can simply write the average degrees of polymerization at the end of the polymerization is similarly as in case of ATRP reaction or SFRP reaction, where I 0 can be replaced by the Raft reagent concentration at the beginning. And again, for like other cases, we can utilize this Raft reaction, reversible addition fragmentation transfer reaction for making block copolymer at the end of the polymerization if we add a second monomer. Now, with this we will end this discussion of leaving radical polymerization. What we will do, we quickly go through different commercial polymerization. Now, we will do this go a little faster because this just information, nothing more to understand. So, we will spend little time or on these examples, and you can, if you want, you can get more information of any textbook or some other literature. This is just to complete your knowledge on radical chain polymers, and you have studied for last 5-6 lectures what is radical polymerization, radical chain polymerization, and talked about different monomer structures, but finally it matters, or it is useful if some commercial polymers are made using these techniques. So, this once you know that there are several polymers which are made using this technique, then your learning will be complete in that sense. Now, the simplest monomer is polyethylene, and polyethylene is synthesized at high pressure and a temperature above the melting its melting temperature. Now, remember, this is a gaseous reaction to polyethylene is a gas to solid form, solid polymer. The volume change is significant. Now, remember, we talked about the effect of pressure briefly, that in the reaction, in the polymerization reaction, if the volume change is higher, then with increasing pressure you can increase the reaction rate, or you can make the reaction rate more feasible. So, that is why in this case the high pressure is used, and as I said that you have to keep your reaction temperature above the melting temperature in this case, so that the polymers have mobility, so that they can undergo further propagation reaction. So, this reaction is done above the melting temperature. It is a continuous process, and while talking about the chain transfer to the polymers, we have given example of the polyethylene, because indeed chain transfer reaction happen to polymers in this case. So, branches are produced. So, this is a highly branched polymer, and the mostly LDP, LD low density polyethylenes are produced in this case, and because this is a branch structure, it is low crystalline, because the polymers cannot align each other parallelly. If they are branched, they cannot align all the time. So, the crystallinity come down, and once the crystallinity come down, the density of the polymers also come down. So, it is also low density. Typical molecular for the commercial polymers are 20,000 to 100,000, PDI is 3 to 10, and Tg of these polymers are about 120 degree centigrade, and Tm is from 105 to 110 degree centigrade, and density, as I said, it is low density one more time. And applications are, most of this has very good strength, flexibility, impact resistant, and these have good melt flow behavior. If you have good melt flow behavior, then you can do the processing easily. You can melt processing becomes easier, and in this case, because we talked about application of these polymers in flings, so blow molding, where basically the molding is done by blowing air through a molten polymer, so that you can make thin films. That can be done easily if you have a good melt flow behavior. And polyethylenes are used mostly as films for packaging material for household and agricultural construction applications. For example, whatever we commonly see, talked about, say, polythenes, these bags, pouches, food wraps or cloth wraps, and all these things, they are made up of polyethylene, and the other examples. Now, in this slide and in the coming few slides where we talk about the other polymers, I will just mention few examples. Now, there are hundreds of other examples, other applications these polymers are applied. So, for this class, it is not possible to cover all the examples. I will try to give most common applications of these polymers for this and for the coming polymers. And there are trade names where by these names these polymers get sold in the market, and again there are other companies sell these polymers in different trade names. I am not, this is not exclusively, this is a very few of the trade names are covered in this slide. Polystyrene, generally this is synthesized by continuous solution process. Some cases where you need polystyrene bits, and if you have during the suspension polymer some cross linker divinyl benzene type compounds, then you can actually make cross linked bead polystyrene bead by suspension polymerization. The linear polymerization typically used for commercial applications have molecular weight from 50,000 to 150,000 having PDI of 2 to 4 and TG is around 85 degree centigrade. And it is a very rigid polymers because the backbones is having aromatic structure. So, it's the chain is not difficult to rotate, the single ball rotation becomes difficult. So, it is a very rigid plastics. So, it cannot crystallize. If you want to crystallize a polymer, then you have to align them next to each other parallelly. If you have the rigid backbone, then it is very difficult, becomes very difficult. That is why polystyrene is a completely amorphous polymer. It has good strength and dimensional stability. It has only elongation from say 1 to 3%. It has very good resistance to aqueous bases and acids. But there are some problems, a disadvantage in polystyrene structure too, because it is aromatic structure. It has poor weatherability. That means it absorbs UV light and becomes yellow, and it is soluble in hydrocarbon solvents. So, it is resistance to hydrocarbon solvents is poor. So, often polystyrene is used with this stabilizer, UV stabilizer, and also as a component or as a blend with other polymers or a copolymers with other monomers. For example, at the beginning of the emulsion polymers we talked about acrylonitrile butadiene styrene rubber or in the butadiene styrene rubber as such. These are the examples of copolymer. Very common applications of polystyrene, and these audio tape cassettes, office fixtures, these tumblers, and in medical, because this styrene has aromatic backbone, this is stable on irradiation. So, you can, if you want to, these medical equipments are typically sterilized by high energy radiations by like gamma ray. So, these polystyrene used for medical applications like pipettes, petri dishes and medical containers and so on. A lot of applications of polystyrene goes as a form of polystyrene is formed by impregnating blowing agents, and you have seen yourselves many applications of polystyrene foams like disposable drinking cups, the cushion packaging and thermal insulator, and sometimes this cushion packaging is like in your lab the reagent bottles comes with some packing outside or some boxes made up of polystyrene foams, and they are also used for thermal insulations. They are wherever you need to protect the brittle material inside like egg cartoon, fast fill trays, and these are cheap polymers. So, you can use these for very common applications. And cross-linked polystyrene bead, which can be formed by suspension polymers, they can be used for chromatographic materials in a chromatographic polymer. These polystyrene columns or styrogel columns are made by this cross-linked polystyrene beads. So, polystyrenes have also some high-end applications in that sense. Some of the trade names by which polystyrene is sold is mentioned here: styrofoam, cellofoam, dietine, and so on. These are the very few list of the trade names we are talking about. Next, we talk about the vinyl families, and the most important polymer in the vinyl families are polyvinyl chloride. Is generally synthesized by suspension polymerization in batch process. It has low crystallinity, it has TGs around 81 degrees centigrade or 80 degrees centigrade. Now, when you process these polymers at high temperature, it actually evolve or produces HCl, and that is very detrimental for several applications. So, in almost in every application of polyvinyl alcohol, one need to add this heat stabilizer like metal oxide, fatty acid, salt to basically minimize this HCl production. Otherwise, there is no practical applications of PVC or polyvinyl chloride. Polyvinyl chloride also tough, it has a rigid backbone, so it is rigid plastics, and also it finds several applications, and there are a lot of applications, and most of the applications are PVC are plasticized PVC. Plasticized means it by adding some additives which are called plasticizer, Tg is brought down, so that at room temperature or the ambient temperature the PVC becomes flexible, and the applications of flexible PVC are a lot. All the pipes, most of the pipes you see in the home or other applications are made of PVC. There are applications in vinyl slidings like window frame, rain gutters. They are also used in packaging material as a packaging materials like bottles, box lids, and they are also used in wire and cable insulations for electrical wire, and they are also used in some example of other uses as surgical and protective gloves. Some trade names are mentioned here. Other families of vinyl members I will not discuss in detail, but these are also important vinyl polymers like vinyl acetate. Vinyl acetate are hydrolyzed to vinyl alcohol to make polyvinyl alcohols. Polyvinyl alcohols are not produced from polyvinyl alcohol because vinyl alcohol does not exist in that sense. So, polyvinyl alcohols are produced from the hydrolysis of polyvinyl acetates. The other important polymers in this family is polyvinylidene chloride. The structure is mentioned in the bottom. So, we move to the next set of polymers is the acrylic family, and the most important is polymethyl methacrylate, that actually covers most of the volume of acrylic polymers. And polymethyl PMMA is actually synthesized by solution suspension or by emulsion polymerization, and it is amorphous. As you can see the structure that it is having the bulky side groups. So, it is very difficult to align, the chains are difficult to align. So, they are perfectly they are completely amorphous, not crystallinity. They have Tg value around 105 degree centigrade. They have very low refracting index, which makes them exceptional, have optical clarity because the no aromatic group containing. So, they have a very good weatherability, they have good strength, and some of the applications are in seats, rods, safety glasses, indoor and outdoor lightings, and optical fibers because of the refractive index is low. So, they are used in a optical fibers for light transmission, eye goggles, and CD. The cheap CDs are manufactured by, compact discs are manufactured by from PMMA, though they are very not very impact resistant, they are brittle. Some of the trade names are shown here. The other acrylic families, polymethyl methacrylic acids, polyacrylamide, polyacrylic acid, polyacrylonitrile, they also are produced commercially and find several applications. And some other monomers which are also used or polymerized by radical chain polymerization are like vinyl carbazole and N-vinyl pyridine. So, they are also used, they are the monomers which are also polymerized by radical polymerization. So, with this we come to the end of this module on radical polymerization, and now what we will do in next 5-10 minutes is just to give the summary or recollect your memory, basically give you the most important points of the radical chain polymerization, which we discussed in like 5, 6, 7 class lectures. So, radical chain polymerization are, as we can see from our discussion, that radical chain polymerization are comparatively easier to carry out in respect or in comparison to the step growth polymerization. Provided you take care of the solvent, if you are using a solvent and any impurity which can terminate the radicals, or any impurities which can act as a chain transfer reagent. So, if you can minimize these impurities like chain transfer agent or any inhibitor which actually kills the radicals, then you can have this radical polymerization be done easily. Now, as we seen is discussed, the radical polymerization is done mostly for the double bond containing monomers, but not all the monomers which contain a double bond can be polymerized by radically, and that depends on both the thermodynamic and kinetic factor. Thermodynamic factor we discussed in two lectures back, that if you the polymerizability of a monomer in a radical chain polymerization is mainly governed by the enthalpy value, del H value, not the del S value, and del H value depends on whether the monomer is stabilized whether it is electronically or hyperconjugation or by resonance. If it is stabilized, then del H value comes down. If the polymer produced from these molecules is strained, highly strained, then also del H value comes down. So, we showed the examples of alpha methyl styrene or 1,2 disubstituted monomers like maleic anhydride, where the radical polymerization becomes difficult, and that is not only the thermodynamic factor, kinetic factor also plays. If the resulting radicals cannot approach each other, or radical if radicals produced or the propagating radicals cannot approach a monomer, for example, in the case of 1,2 disubstituted reaction, then the polymerization becomes difficult, like maleic anhydride. Now, initiator you should choose such a way that the reactions happened in a moderate rate, so that the temperature which you are planning to do a reaction, or rather you should choose your polymerization reaction temperature such a way that the half life of your initiator is somewhat between, say, your reaction time frame. It should not be too low, so the reaction is too fast, or it should not be too slow, that reaction is very slow. And we have talked about these equations several times, the rate of polymerization and the kinetic chain length, which related to the molecular weight or the number of average degrees of polymerization. And in both cases, if you increase the molar concentration of the monomer, the molecular weight as well as the rate of polymerization increases. But when we try to do that by carrying out the reaction in the bulk condition, where you get a maximum concentration of the monomer, the other complication arises like increasing viscosity or the lot of heat generation. So, it is not always possible to increase the monomer concentration. If you want to increase the reaction rate by increasing temperature, we have found out that it does increase the reaction rate in most cases, but the simultaneously it also decreases the molecular weight. If you have the chain transfer agents are present, the chain transfer reactions actually limit the molecular weight built up. The more the amount of chain transfer agent, the lower is the molecular weight, and we have seen that you can actually take advantage if you can do the chain transfer or chain termination by reversible way, where you can utilize this reversible chain transfer or termination reaction and carry out a leaving radical polymerization, where the polydispersity index is much lower compared to the normal radical polymerization, as also the polymers remain leaving at the end of the polymerization. So, can utilize this. by making block copolymers by addition of second monomer at the end of the reaction. And we also talked about the different polymerization processes like bulk suspension, emulsion, dispersion, solution, different types of processes, and the advantages and disadvantages of all these processes. And depending upon your requirement, you should choose the polymerization process which suit you the most. And at the end, we discussed few examples of the commercial polymers which are synthesized using this radical chain polymerization technique. So, with this we conclude this our module on radical chain polymerization. And what we will start in the next lecture is ionic polymerization, where basically instead of radical, this chain polymerization will be initiated by a ionic species, whether it is a cationic or anionic species. So, with this we will end this lecture today, and we will begin our discussion on ionic chain polymerization in the next class, next lecture.